Bragg. Here. Councilmember Spriggs.
Here.
Mayor Gadina.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bill Bray is absent.
Please rise as Christian Flores from Oneon School leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'd like to thank his principal, Marla Fernandez, for being here as well.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Christian. And just to let you know, Christian was chosen because to lead the pledge today because he's a very good student and very motivated. He's a great role model. He follows through his obligations, and his motto is I do what I must do. Let's see, my teachers have said that I'm very polite, and this teacher, Mr. Serrano, speaks that Christian has proven to be an outstanding student in all academic areas, particularly math and reading, which are obviously very important, which are his favorite subjects. And Mr. Serrano attributes his high academic performance to hard work and diligence on his part. And in addition, Christian is a member of our student council, where he has brought fresh ideas for our schools, such as Change for Change, to raise money for our library. Very good. He's also on the Peace Patrol, where he helps to supervise first and second grade students during recess. Finally, when asked why he believes he's a great leader and role model, Christian states, I have my own voice. Well, thank you so much, Christian, for coming here, and I know all our council really appreciates it. Thank you very much. And with that, are there any agenda changes? And this is the time when we have the council can make comments or speak on a few updates, reports.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody that the city of Imperial Beach is hosting our open house Thursday, April 23rd from 5 to 7 p.m. at Veterans Park. This is something that Councilmember Spriggs and Andy Hall and I had worked on to come up with this format. I think that the community will find it inviting, enjoying, and you'll walk away knowing something you didn't know before. And then also just to remind everybody about our home front cleanup, which is one of my favorite events in this community because it really does clean up the community. That's May 2nd, and that will be in front of Marvista High School. And then also, just to remind people too, the Boys and Girls Club is having an e-waste recycling event. And they will use that as a fundraiser, I believe. So if you have any e-waste laying around, please take it to the Boys and Girls Club because they're an important member of our community and can certainly use it, and we'll dispose of that properly. Thank you.
I also would remind everyone that at the open house there will be hot dogs for everybody. Good reason to learn about the budget and then wash it down with a hot dog and a drink. These recent days have been water days for me in outside meetings at the Independent Rates, San Diego Public Utilities Independent Rates Operating or Oversight Committee, Outreach and Communications Working Group or Subcommittee, which there was a major presentation made regarding how the city of San Diego is going to roll out water conservation. And a good presentation had to do with messages from the state of California and data and statistics and graphs and charts regarding our water situation. We're going to hear more about that very shortly. Then the League of California Cities meeting on Monday, there was a major presentation by the executive director of the County Water Authority on a very similar subject of what the County Water Authority is going to be doing to implement water restrictions in San Diego County toll, and we'll probably get more about that as well. So it's water, or the lack of it, is on everybody's mind, and I'm delighted we're going to have a presentation on that this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and also thanks for the open house. It looks really great. I appreciate the work you guys did.
August 1st and 2nd, we'll give you more info on Relay for Life from 9 to 9. We'll have, Imperial Beach will have their own team, and it starts at 9 in the morning, and then we walk and raise money for a good cause. So, more to come.
Thank you, Councilmember Powell. I actually just had, for my job, my new book, I took a tour of the Cape region in Baja over the weekend, Thursday to Sunday. And it was really cool because in Todos Santos and San Jose del Cabo and on the East Cape, everywhere I went, there was either an IB resident or someone who loved IB. And in Todos Santos, we have a strong group of Imperial Beach residents. The Imperial Beach lifeguards trained the lifeguards in Todos Santos. So that was great. And actually, people came out to my talk from Imperial Beach and parents of people who live in Imperial Beach. And then in San Jose del Cabo, I met the director of environmental services for the Los Cabos government. And he'd actually been to Imperial Beach and signed an MOU with the Tijuana Asteroid as a sister city reserve. So they actually said that they wanted to have the logo of Imperial Beach on the reserve sign down in San Jose, which I thought was really cool. And then at the organic market, the wife of the person who manages it was actually Merlina Arana, who's actually from Imperial Beach. So it was a full IB weekend down in Baja. So we've got a great reputation. And I also met a photographer who just spent 2 weeks photographing Imperial Beach in the Tijuana River Valley. So anyway, IB is everywhere, right? We are ground zero. So anyway. And with that, City Manager Andy Hall, do you have any comments? Great. And now we have the public comment period. We welcome and really like to have public comment, but because of the Brown Act, which is a California state law, City Council members cannot respond to items not listed on the agenda. And issues requiring a response will be referred to the City Manager. We do care if we look like we don't and we're not responding, it's because by law we're not allowed to. So with that, we'll get started. Our first speaker is, and also remember, it's 3 minutes or under. Let us know from the very beginning, what is it you're seeking? What's your request or recommendation? And then explain, let us know why. Thomas Nemba, I think it's Nemba?
It's Quimba.
Okay, please come up. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Thomas Quimba. I live in 1150 State Street, Imperial Beach.
Wait, we need to have a chair. We have a problem with the podium, so you're gonna have to sit down, sorry. Don't ask why. We don't want to go into it. But thank you very much for sitting.
I have a public comment for the City of Imperial Beach manager or their staff. In my property, I noticed somebody built a storage room right, and I have a flat lot, which means some of it built and some of it considered like a road, private road. And property owner built right on my road, and the city did not stop them. Yet I approached the city to build my property to car garage. They said you do not have the setback. It's my private road that somebody else using it and I can't use it. So my question to the city, what is the protocol they use to enforce the law and one citizen and turn their head away from the other, and it happened a lot in Imperial Beach. I took my son to school and I've seen a lot of homes without garage altogether or cancel the garage. With my situation, the city said, we would not allow you to build garage in your law, but yet other people can build storage room. And the second part of the question is, when somebody do complaint, does the owner have the right to see that complaint or see what the complaint is all about? But in the past few months, there's about close to numerous complaints like this, and I did not see them, and I get fined without even knowing what's going on. So don't the citizen have the right to see what is the complaint before they hit with the fine? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Tom Summers. And also, if you would, just state your name and your address, please, for the record.
My name is Tom Summers. My address is 211, 213 Dade Avenue. I've been a resident of Imperial Beach since 1972. I've been the owner of the property since '78. And I'm here tonight to discuss water meters. I'm here also because I have written a letter to the mayor, and he suggested that I present this at the podium, so here I am. Since you explained the Brown Act, I brought a couple extra copies, but I should pass them out.
You can give it to the city clerk afterwards. You can give it to the city clerk afterwards. It's not to waste it, use your time, just,
All right, well, below this is a letter. Below is a picture of work recently done in the alley behind my property near 2nd Street and Dade Avenue. My property, consisting of 2 detached homes, was previously served by only 1 water meter. I contracted with California American Water Company to add a second water meter. It was not cheap, but at least now the tenants of each house have the opportunity to monitor their own water consumption and have their own account and billing. They now also have a chance to keep their water consumption under baseline usage, which would have been nearly impossible with both households on 1 meter and 1 account. In the process of this, I have become aware of many properties in my area that are served by only 1 meter. Multifamily properties that are only served by 1 meter. These include the following: 8 units across the street, 5 units to the west of me, 4 units to the east of me, and 4 units across the alley from me, each of these served by only 1 water meter. Since the governor has now mandated a 25% reduction in water use, and since we are several years into an era of extreme drought, this is a situation that needs addressing, in my opinion. I have discussed this with Mr. Robert Becerra of California American Water Company, and while sympathetic to the situation, he is unable to do much about it. Not only is the cement work, excavation, pipe fitting expensive, but there is also the matter of setting up new billing accounts. In my case, I had to put up a lump sum of $8,000 and then wait several weeks after the work and all of the accounting was done for a refund, which in my case amounted to $3,500. Clearly, not all property owners will be able to do this. So we need to collectively decide that this is something we want to do. Then we must also figure out a way for it to be financed. We especially need to do this in alleys.
Mr. Summer, can you wrap it up?
So I feel very strongly that adding water meters will save significant amounts of water, far more than can be saved by turning off the tap while brushing our teeth. I would like to see us work together on this as a community without litigating or legislating, but clearly it's something we must do, in my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. If you could leave your letter with the city clerk, that would be great. Now, Mr. William Webster.
Good evening. My name is William Webster. My address is 1352 Elm Avenue. So I think I'm asking for either an agenda item to be placed for Trader Joe's or to know what businesses are going in to that project here on Palm. I forget, is it the waterfront project? Breakwater, thank you. So Imperial Beach, is a grocery food desert. Really, we have 2 7-Elevens, a La Pasta, and a Wally's Market. And so there's a Bonds and a Walmart on our city border, but the closest quality or specialty food grocery is either east of the Highway 5 or 15 miles north of Strand and Coronado. So I'd say a lot of residents of IB and local, this Southwest area want a Trader Joe's. So I was here at the last city council meeting. Afterwards, I toured the local grocery outlet. I think it was rumored that they were coming in. I also went over to Wally's Market. I spoke with the owner of the grocery outlet there, and he had desires to come down here, but he also said his vice president had said that grocery outlet was a no-go in this area. So I thought, well, good, because after walking around the Winco Farm Fresh, Wally look-alike store, and I think we deserve better than that. I think we deserve great food at great prices, and Trader Joe's delivers that. So I'd like to convey to the developer that we don't want discount food here. With the Highway California 75 turnover idea, the waterfront initiative, the bike path improvement project, Palm Avenue improvements that are on the agenda. We need to seek healthy growth initiatives here and realize that an increase in socioeconomic status while attracting businesses that support that kind of growth is really what we need. So I'm asking for the city to seek Trader Joe's as their next food store in Palm Avenue. So we'd like to have Trader Joe's here and know that the community supports Trader Joe's, and we ask that you let them know that they also have local government support as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rothschild. Now we have William Blake, Mr. William Blake.
I don't need a microphone. I'm a orator.
Do we need it?
Sir,
Wait,
I'm
I'm
an
sorry.
orator.
Yeah, Mr. Blake, I think it's because we record it, so it's in the record, so the city clerk can actually take notes. If you could stand.
So what I have here, ladies and
Could you
gentlemen,
say your name and address for the
my
record?
name is William Blake, 1441 5th Street. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Some of you like me, some of you don't. What I have here are America's freedom documents. These guarantee our rights. My forefathers fought and died for these rights. These rights are being buried in this city and other municipalities around this country by, I have noticed. It's a culture of arrogance by the city employees. They have come to believe that they are the custodians of our property and our persons, as it were. And that only they know what is best for us. Only they know. And they have contrived to construct rules and regulations to control our behavior. And this is wrong. This isn't what America is about. That's what Russia's about. That's what China's about. That's what Stalin was about. On April Fool's Day, I should have known. I was here and spoke to the council about the dog catcher on the beach. This is a small issue, and I was assured that someone would get back to me. It has not happened, and it probably won't. Every time I come down to this facility, the brown material here gets so deep that I have to wear one of these to protect my life and my person. I've heard "I'll get back to you" so many times from these three guys right there. That one, and that one. So many times I have letters from them.
Mr. Blake?
Malcolm
Mr. Blake?
Nakamura,
Mr. Blake?
Greg Wade. You can
Can
hear me.
you
You can hear me. Nakamura, Greg Wade, and the public works official. Those three gentlemen should be fired forthwith. I have letters from all three of them stating that they'll get back to me. They never have. The city built on my property 3 times. I wrote letters certified to the city manager and the mayor. They're in your records. Just the other day, I had a conversation.
Mr. Blake, can you wrap it up?
Just the other day, I had a conversation with Captain Stabenow down at the beach. He wants to be the dog catcher. I say, let him be the dog catcher in Ramona.
Can you wrap it up, please?
I'm going to right now. I'm at the end of it.
Well,
Look, it's a 3x5 card, dude.
Well, we allowed everyone else 3 minutes. We're trying to keep everybody.
The reason Imperial Beach residents are in Baja, Mr. Dedina, is because this town is stifling. If Mr. Stabenow went down there and saw dogs running on the beach,
All right.
people driving cars, he would hang himself. And that's it. That's all I gotta say
Thank you very much.
for now. Thank you.
Mr. Ed Searles?
Thank you. My name is Ed Sorrells.
Mr. Searles, could you speak into the microphone?
I
You
live
need help with your.
at 526 9th Street. I've been there 44 years. I'm every bit as evident as the last speaker about my little problem. And it has to do with Bayside School. 6 months or so ago, the monument that was there that dedicated Brown Park or Bayside Park because of damage was removed. Shortly thereafter, the school district unilaterally locked the gates after school. There is no place for the children to play. I don't understand what happened to cause this. All I can find out is that there was an MOU, a memo of understanding, and it had expired, and the school district now wants help in paying for the maintenance of the playground area. Who is working with this on this problem? Because I sent you a letter a month ago, sir, on this thing. If there is no one, can we get somebody on it? Summer's coming and the kids are going to be locked out. After contacting them several times and pointing out that they keep the playground open from the inside for their 6 to 6 kids that we pay our taxes to feed and babysit, they have finally agreed to also keep it open for the kids that go to school there and the community, as it is the sole area in the northwest side till 6 o'clock in the evening on weekdays. Weekends, holidays, vacations, school work days, it's still locked up. I'm in contact with people. I've been in contact with people over there off and on now for a month now. And they told me that nobody, the guy that would deal with this told me that nobody had talked to them. And yet I talked to Andy this evening and he says he's been talking to this guy. There's a school district meeting tomorrow night. And I'm going to that and I'm going to take a bunch of my neighbors with me and make the school district just well aware of how this sits with the citizens here in the city. You know, the next time the school bond comes up, I wonder who they're going to go to, because this will be remembered. There's a lot of people. I've got Reed's picture standing at the gate with moms with strollers and stuff. The kids hit the fence like it was a piece of exercise equipment. They're inside and having a good old time. But the families and the people that do some rather exotic things like fly model airplanes, they can't get them in there. So we need to get with somebody and get talking to them people. They're open to dickering on what the figures were. I ran some preliminary figures, and it should be well within the city. If we can afford hot dogs, we can afford to keep that damn playground open. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Searles. And with that, I don't have any more blue cards, speaker slips. So thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it. And now we move on to presentations 1.1. And that's California American Water and an update on drought and conservation. We have Brian Barretto, External Affairs, who works in External Affairs at California American Water, who gives us drought weather and update.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Brian Barretto. I'm the External Affairs Manager with California American Water. And I wanted to, first of all, thank the Mayor and City Manager for the opportunity to be here. They extended an invitation to us, and I wanted to thank the council for the opportunity to brief you, answer any questions you may have, and take you through a short PowerPoint presentation that hopefully will provide you with some more context, some additional background to some of the information that Councilman Spriggs heard over the past week. And then answer any of your questions that you may have going forward with regarding to the governor's proclamation, what water restrictions are in place, and potentially how that would impact the residents of Imperial Beach and our customers here in our service district. Real quickly, I'd like to introduce our operations manager who's here with us. His name is Chris Mattis. And then also Patrick Pills, our director of conservation, here is also if he could entertain any questions as well. Just to give you a quick update, let's see, this isn't working very well, but let's see. There we go. So this first slide is just some quick drought facts, just to bring everybody up to speed. In 2014, we ended the third driest year in precipitation in recorded history. Also, the drought is in its fourth year, and the Sierra snowpack is at the lowest levels in recorded time. And I thought these two pictures are pretty interesting. The picture on the left is January of 2013, and you can see the snow. That's actually the snowpack of the Sierras. And then the picture on the right is the same area just a year later to the date, 2014. I thought this is an interesting example because what it shows is that the drought not only impacts just us here in Southern California, but in Central California and Northern California, because the snowpack level impacts everybody. And I think that when we talk about the snowpack, some people are like, well, I really don't quite understand what that means. I'm not really sure what it looks like. So I thought that this was a good graphic to show. This next slide is to give you a refresher on, in 2004, there were prohibited water uses for provisions that were approved by the State Water Resource Control Board, or the board as it's known. Just to refresh your memory here, they were approved by the Public Utilities Commission, and they are currently in place at this point. The next slide is where we are today in 2015. In March last month, the board proposed 4 additional water restrictions. For example, customers will no longer be allowed to irrigate turf or ornamental landscapes during and 48 hours following measurable precipitation. Restaurants and other food service establishments can only serve water to customers on request. And I know a lot of us have eat out a lot. We go to a number of different restaurants. I've been to a number of them here. And I think all of the restaurants now are currently doing that. So that's one of the measures that's already, that we're meeting. The second one is operators of hotels and motels must provide the option to do your linens or your towels, and they must post a notice of that in their hotel prominently somewhere, either in the room or in the lobby. And I know that a lot of the hotels here in Imperial Beach and throughout San Diego County are already doing that. So that's another provision that's already been met. And then in addition, one of the other provisions is actually a limitation of days of watering. One of the questions that pertains to that piece is, some of you have asked and others have asked, do we have a drought contingency plan, or does the city have a drought contingency plan? The short answer is yes. Our drought contingency plan, California American Water, is our Rule 14.1 and our Schedule 14.1, which is approved, are the rules that the Public Utilities Commission allows us to implement water conservation measures when necessary. We are currently updating those. We're working with the Public Utilities Commission at this point to implement these provisions that were approved by the board in March, and then also working out the specific details of the specific watering days. Potentially, our provisions would have different levels: level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 would the proposal would have 1 day, 3 days of watering. Level 2 would have 2 days of watering. Level 3 would have either 1 day or a lesser version of watering. We're working out the details on all of that. We don't have any specifics yet because we need to figure out what's the best way to do that. Is the watering schedule potentially going to be a Monday and a Wednesday? Is it going to be a Tuesday and a Thursday? And then potentially, how would we implement that? What that would look like is that maybe odd number addresses on 1 day, even number addresses on another day, and then sort of what are the enforcements on that at this point. So we will definitely come back and provide you with additional information as to what that will actually look like in terms of the watering days and the watering schedules as soon as we have that information, as soon as we work that out with the Public Utilities Commission. Part of that is one of the things that is important to think about is that these two provisions, or these 8 provisions that are now going to be in place, we as a water utility are going to be compared to the baseline, which is the 25% reduction across the state, and that will start in June. They're going to look at our system as a whole, and potentially if we're not meeting the benchmarks or we're not meeting the levels that they feel that we're meeting at, we as a utility potentially could be fined. I'm here to urge the residents of Imperial Beach and all of our customers in our San Diego County district to actually heed our message, to really take steps to be mindful of their water use. Should they have any questions about this, should they have any questions about when it goes into effect, what are the things that they can do, we as a water utility are a great resource. We have great rebates, we have great programs that our customers can take advantage of. We have turf rebate program, we have rebates for high efficiency washers, high efficiency toilets, and then we're always looking for opportunities to partner with the city in community events. For example, we're going to be at the city's open house on Thursday night of next week. We'll be there with a conservation booth. We'll be there with information about where things are with the water restrictions and answer any questions that customers may have. So we're looking forward to that. The other thing, so that all of this is I know this is a lot of information, and this slide, and I apologize, it doesn't look very well, doesn't read very well, but one of the things is California American Water has engaged in a very extensive and multi-pronged outreach campaign to all of our customers. We've included bill text messages, bill inserts, direct mail pieces. We've issued press releases. We've also sent a number of emails. Customers that sign up on our where they can go in and pay their own bill on California American Water's website, where they sign up, you sign up with an email address, and we automatically capture that email address, and then we're able to send them emails about the drought, emails about water restrictions, and we've gotten great response from that. A number of customers, all of those emails come back. If they respond, they come back into my email box, which is great. We've gotten a lot of really good questions about how do I lower my water use? What are the rebates? What are the things that I can do? Here's the things that I've already done. What else do you think that I could do? And I work very closely with Patrick and his team to provide our customers and the residents with additional information to help them. So one thing I would point out is, and I know Councilwoman, this is Councilwoman Bragg, this is a important piece for you. If you are a renter in this community, or you don't pay your water bill, it's included in your rent check to your landlord. You don't probably see a lot of this customer outreach that we do. What I would do is I would encourage anybody that does not pay their water bill to do a couple of things. One is go to our California American Water website, which is californiaamwater.com. There are 2 tiles right in the center of the page. One is the drought update, and then the second one right directly to the right of it, it says conservation rebates. All of the most up-to-date and current information is there. And I would encourage anybody that has not received this because they don't pay their water bill, but they pay it through their rent check, to go there. The other thing is I would also encourage them to reach out to their landlord and ask them to see some of the pieces that we put in the bills, the direct mail pieces or the bill inserts, so that they can share that with all of the tenants in the building if they still happen to have that. The last thing is I would encourage them to contact us directly, and we're more than happy to answer any questions and provide them with any details on that as well. So this next slide is also current day. I think everybody has heard that the governor on April 1st made a new proclamation where there was a 25% reduction across the state for all water utilities, whether they were public or regulated, and for all customer classes. One of the things that is important to point out is that the State Water Board is going to take a look at these guidelines, the proposals that the mayor has put into place, the 25% reduction, and then the 3 additional water restrictions, which are listed here at their May meeting. It looks like they're going to pass all of them, which means they would all go into effect very, very quickly. I think the date is July 1 that these would go into place. The thing that's important to point out is 25%, the board has put a proposal forth that the 25% reduction would be assessed on various communities based on a comparison of their numbers, their production numbers from baseline being 2013 to the baseline of 2015. I'm happy to report that here in Imperial Beach and our San Diego County District, we are at it looks like our reduction numbers, or the numbers that we're going to have to meet, is a 10% reduction. There were other communities across the state, we've probably read about them, where they're upwards of 35% and even upwards of 40%, because they either have not done anything, they either haven't reported numbers, or they're just not, their customers are just not heeding the message at this point. So these pieces here, the governor's April 1st proclamation, we will be working again with our Public Utilities Commission in the rewriting or the updating of our Rule 14.1. These provisions will be included in that rewriting because we anticipate that the State Water Resource Control Board will pass all of these and make them part of our business going forward. We will come back to the council. We will also come back to the community. We will also engage in another multi-pronged outreach effort, including all of the components that I spoke about previously. In addition, one of the things is we are going to be required to host a open house, which we will hold here in Imperial Beach, and I would love to work with the city to identify a date. I know there's a lot of great activities and community events, and I want to make sure that we schedule it on a date where there's not a conflict, and that we can get the most bang for our buck, shall we say, and have a lot of people come out and ask questions and learn about how all of these water restrictions going forward are going to impact us. So with all of this information, one of the things that I'd love to impress upon the council and impress upon the individuals that are here is we are a great resource for our customers. We are always willing to answer and entertain any questions. We have a great rebate program, great conservation programs that I had mentioned, and one of the programs that is our Help to Others. It's a low-income program. It's a program that helps offset customers' bills on a monthly basis. The great thing about this is if an individual or a resident is already participating in the CARE program, which is the California Alternative Rate for Energy program, they could be automatically enrolled into our program. We do mail applications out to our customers twice a year on this, so they do get it in their bills. But if a customer has not received it and they do still pay their bill, I would encourage them to contact us, call our call center. They can also go to our California American Water website. There is a link to this program, the Help to Others program, and to the application. It's online as a PDF. Somebody can download it, fill it out, drop it off at our local office at 1025 Palm Avenue, and then we'll automatically enroll them, and it'll help offset the cost of their water. The other piece that I would recommend, and we've gotten great response on this, is our WaterWise house calls. This is a free program where customers can contact us. One of our conservation specialists will come on out. They'll do an assessment of your home. They'll take a look at your indoor water usage. They'll look at all of your appliances. They'll look at your sinks, your toilets, your washer. And then they'll also do an assessment of your outdoor irrigation, sprinklers, controllers. And then what they'll do, it takes about 90 minutes. We're able to schedule an appointment that's convenient for you around your work schedule or your daycare schedule or whatever is convenient for you. And then we'll write a report that customer or that resident will receive a report that will make suggestions on how to limit your water use, lower your water use, and without really impacting your lives. It's a great program. We've got great response back from it. I think some of the council members have actually taken advantage of this, if I remember correctly. So I would encourage everybody to contact our local office or call a call center to sign up for this. I've mentioned our free water saving products and our rebates. Customers can come by our office at 1025 Palm Avenue or contact us directly. We provide toilet flappers, shower heads, sink aerators, and garden hose nozzles free to our customers. They just have to prove that they live in the city of Imperial Beach and they do pay their water bill to us, and we're more than happy to provide that to them. The other thing is I talked about our very extensive rebate programs that we have to offset the cost of high efficiency washers, high efficiency toilets, irrigation controllers. For those customers and residents that have pools, we do have a rebate for pool covers, which are great, that help prevent the evaporation of water. And then in addition, there's a new or relatively new sprinkler head that's out. It's a rotating sprinkler head, and we actually do have a, rather than just a straight mist sprinkler head, it's a rotating sprinkler head where the water drop is actually heavier and it's actually more directional. So there's less evaporation, and the water actually gets to the location better than just traditional spray sprinkler head, and we do have rebates for those as well. I mentioned that we are big partners in the community, and we love to do events. One of the biggest and most successful events that we recently did is we did a high efficiency toilet giveaway here in the city of Imperial Beach. We held it at the YMCA Camp Surf, and I'm happy to report that we provided 350 toilets, high efficiency toilets, to customers that came out, that knew about the event, that we had publicized. This is one of the highlights, I think, that we've done, aside from partnering with the city with the drought demonstration garden in front of City Hall and in front of the Senior Center and Community Center. We're looking forward to doing more of these types of events and providing opportunities for customers to lower their water use. And then also, we also, as I mentioned, the demonstrations gardens that we fund. And that we have here in the city to provide opportunities for customers to look at alternatives to grass or the thirsty lawn. And then we also, customers are also able to sign up for sustainable landscape seminars, which is a great program that's free, because what happens is the customers will come out, they'll sign up for this half day or full day event, and they'll actually be able to, no pun intended, but they'll actually be able to get their hands dirty. They'll actually get in the dirt. They'll actually learn how to pull up turf. They'll actually learn about drought-tolerant landscaping, California native landscaping, a little bit of the difference between what rock and cactus is versus what drought-tolerant is, and then how to set up a drip irrigation system. It's a great program, and I would encourage everybody and anybody that has an opportunity to participate in this. I would also encourage anybody that has a lawn in front of their house to consider alternative landscaping, whether it be drought tolerant, whether it be California native, and whether it be a succulent based garden. There's a lot of beautiful alternatives that use maybe a third of the water that one's thirsty lawn has at this point. So with that, I would love to entertain any questions that you may have, help address any concerns that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brego. I don't see any Councilmember Patton.
Well, thanks for giving back to the community so much. Now, of course, I get a bill from you, and sometimes I just pay it, and maybe I don't look into the envelope quite deep enough. And how much?
Sure.
Have you sent this to everybody other than email?
This conservation flyer, yeah, we have sent this, not necessarily in this form,
Right.
but we have sent it in, because the bill is much smaller, it's in a threefold panel bill insert. So yes, all customers should have received this. We also have this on our website as a PDF if customers want to pick this up as well. And then I know that we also have a stack of them here that I'm more than happy to leave with the city. And we can provide the city with a PDF of it as well to post to the website, your city's website.
There's some great rebates there. I think more people know about it. You mentioned a lot of them. And I've noticed you've been very visible. Sandcastle tournament, just about anywhere you go, you see you. And what's your plans for the your window display? And I know it's going. I don't know if it's finished. The one on Palm Avenue.
Yes.
Is there an end to that?
Yes.
And how close are you?
We are within 1 foot of the finish line, shall I say, or the goal line. The last pieces of the conservation window display is evening lighting with timers. All of the display itself is in. It explains a lot about drought tolerance. It talks a lot about the rebates that are on this flyer here, and all of the opportunities that customers can take advantage of. I would encourage anybody and everybody that's walking down Palm Avenue or is driving down Palm Avenue or going into California American Water to pay their bill to stop by and take a look at them. There's a lot of information there that people can take advantage of. The other thing is we are in the process of scheduling a ribbon cutting ceremony around the display cases. And as soon as we have a date, I will, you please all expect an invitation, and we hope that you will all attend.
Okay, then I have a bunch of questions. So
Sure.
I'll get started.
I'd be more than happy.
You know, what are you doing with the local schools? Are you partnering with the high schools, the elementary school? Are you doing any contests? Are you putting this information to these young kids who are sponges, no pun intended, and who will carry on this into adult life?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I believe, Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, we do have a local schools program. It's through a theater group that comes out to the schools. It's based on water curriculum. And they go out, they do, it's a theater program based around water and the water cycle and being environmentally friendly and conservation measures and being water wise. So we do, I believe we've done a couple of them here in the city with the schools, with certain schools. I just don't have the list with me, but we are more than happy and always looking for additional opportunities.
Yeah, I would really encourage, adding that to your long list of the good things you're doing. That would just make you shine even that much better.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
The other
Thank you.
thing, if I may add, is we are sponsoring about 10 to 12 trips, kind of field trips to the Cuyamaca Conservation Garden. So we take schools, we take classrooms, and we pay for the trip, and we pay for, it's basically a half-day school trip to the Cuyamaca Garden. They have a presentation there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Councilmember Spriggs?
This is a question relating to a point raised during public comment, and you were here for that. That also has sort of policy implications for you and for the city. It has to do with multifamily housing and whether there are meters on every unit or a single meter, and whether residents who are renting actually see their water bill and hence are sharing in the information in these water bills and in the cost and the realization of why conservation is important. I have no idea how many multifamily, and that includes anywhere from 2 units on a lot to a 30 or 40 unit building or more, how prevalent the single water meter versus meter on every unit situation is. So my first question to you, and I have a follow-up, is do you have that information in Imperial Beach? Do you have any idea how many situations we have in Imperial Beach where there's a single water meter for multiple units?
I believe we do have that information. I don't have it with me, but I'm more than happy to follow up with our operations team and get that information if you would like.
San Diego Public Utilities, in a meeting that I was at and I referred to earlier, are working on developing flow meters that will register electronically water use for every unit, but that's a ways off. If it's true that there are a large number of residents in Imperial Beach that are not metered, one of the questions I have is, what can we do as a city and you as a water supplier to try to improve that situation so that people are more aware and more responsible for their use of water? I mean, we're foreseeing a situation, you didn't talk about this very much because it is a bit gloom and doom. We're foreseeing a situation from all the reports that I've read of anywhere from 5 to 10 years, an extended drought period. And the measures we're looking at right now are more or less the beginning. So we really do need to figure out ways for all of our people to be directly involved in conservation. So that's the reason I'm raising this. Is there's no better way for someone to be involved in conservation than if they see the use themselves.
Sure.
And they pay the cost of that use.
Sure.
Those two separate things.
Okay. Great. Those are very good points.
So I hope maybe at some point you could report back on maybe some ideas.
Sure.
Collaborating with the other water authorities and maybe figuring out what the best practice approach is to this, because it's a prevalent issue all over San Diego County, is my understanding of the issue of not everyone having a water meter and many, many people not knowing what their water use is.
Sure, we'd be more than happy to do that.
Councilmember Brack?
Thank you. Mr. Pills, Mr. Mattis, thank you both for being here this evening, and Mr. Barreto, thank you especially. I think this is probably the best example of community outreach that we here on the dais are continually asking for. So from a community partner, thank you, and thank you for using me as an example of a renter who doesn't see their water bill. And you and I had that conversation privately, that you took it upon yourself to really illustrate that. Is extremely pleasing to me because it shows you were listening. I want to thank you for that. I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
You talked about Rule 14.1. That's the drought contingency plan.
Yes.
When will that come back to us, or?
So we, and Patrick, maybe if you want to come up, maybe you could help me with this. We are in the process of updating, rewriting our Rule 14.1. We're working with the commission, and there's a little bit of give and take, and the other pieces of it is that there is an approval process for them. We have to file an advice letter. It has to be approved by them, and then we can then roll it out once we get that approved. And I'm not really sure what the timeline is on that. Can you speak to that?
I can speak to that. So pretty much every investor and water utility in California is in the same boat. They all have Rule 14.1s that need to be kind of revised based on the governor's declaration, based on the State Water Resource Control Board prohibition. So the Public Utilities Commission is kind of being pushed to actually expedite the approval process. We're actually filing our revised Rule 14.1 this week to the commission. And normally the approval process would take anywhere between 3 to 6 months. We're expecting, because the government and state board regulation provision is requiring that these will be in effect probably by mid-May. So we would have, so those establish the basis for our 2-day watering restrictions. So we basically need to have these rules in place. We need to have a tariff in place to make the governor's declaration and the State Water Resource Control Board resolution effective to our customers. And that's, as I said, that's for all investor-owned water utilities that are regulated by the Public Utilities Commission. So we expect those to be in effect probably by mid-May, and then we would, do communication and say, 2 days for re-watering.
Okay. Thank you for that. That's pretty rapid. I was not expecting something that soon, but I'm pleased that it is, because I think that for most people, in the state of California, we're all wondering, what does this mean to me? And if we don't answer the question quickly, I'm afraid it will just kind of, blow up some places, and it won't be in everybody's, right where it should be in the forefront of their mind. So I'm glad that that's going to happen that quickly. I do have a couple more questions for you. Mr. Barreto, through the Chamber of Commerce, didn't you, or are you still highlighting the Business of the Month program, where you had a business and you were highlighting them, and I think there was some kudos given to that business who had the greatest water reduction? Is that program still happening? And if not, should we bring it back? Was that through you, or was it the chamber?
That was through the chamber.
Okay.
If I may be so bold, I do sit on the chamber board, and I'm more than happy to bring that back up at our next meeting when we meet again.
Okay.
I will ask about that.
I think it's important to congratulate, to highlight, to help other businesses, to see, and I don't know what the chamber is giving them. Maybe just the recognition alone is enough, but I don't think it should go unrecognized. And then following from what Council Member Patton was saying, this is a great piece of literature. And we did talk about the home front cleanup happening May 2nd. And I know in the past, I think, Mr. Levine, I'm talking about years ago, but the city used to hand out things too. When people drove up and had to show their license, there was kind of a give and take. You show me that you live in the city of Imperial Beach, and I say, thank you for that. And by the way, can I give you this? So I think that would, if you could, might be a great outlet for getting that information out. There are hundreds of people who participate in that.
Sure, that's a great idea, and we'd be more than happy to provide copies of the flyer to be handed out, or figure out a way that we could somehow cover it, maybe be there. But we'd love to get more information about the event.
Okay, great. Thank you. And gentlemen, thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And first, I think the issue of water meters is actually really significant, and maybe even working with property owners, apartment owners, and the Pacific Southwest Realty Association. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Judge,
Sure.
No, go ahead.
This has to do with the other big problem, I think, is, and the regulations are getting at this, and that's using drinking water on lawns, and even beyond that for small scale agriculture. It seems to me that, probably we ought to be thinking down the road, a year, 2 years from now, to the point where that's just going to have the drinking water on anything other than consumption, human consumption, and other sanitary uses will become a real issue. It seems to me, if the drought continues. So thinking down the road about how you as a water authority and the other water authorities can be more proactive in reaching out to people who do have lawns and are using water outside. We don't want to create a sort of police state on this kind of thing. And I know the city is going to eventually probably have to give assistance here. But, and the water bills aren't probably going to be enough to change behavior in many cases. So I'm just thinking that there needs to be some creative thinking about how to really work with people on the external watering issue. And the other big gorilla here is that I'd say 80% of the water used in Southern California is agricultural use. It's certainly not consumption. And do you have any comments on, and that may not be in your customer base, but do you have any comments on what is happening at the state level to ensure that agricultural users bear some part of the responsibility, not just to, I mean, we don't want to have a food shortage, but there are ways of irrigating that are more, just like you suggested for lawns, that are more efficient than flood irrigation, for example. How is the state working with, as I said, we need to work with people's lawns, we need to work with the 80% users in big agriculture that are using a lot of water and not really subject to the governance regulations.
Sure. And if I may take each of your points separately, if that's okay. The point on agriculture is I think at the forefront of everybody that is in the water industry, and from farmers and anybody that is in agriculture to the electeds up in Sacramento. I'm not privy to any of the exact or specific conversations that are going on up there, but I do know that the conversations that I've heard about are they're looking at all aspects across the board. So that's the first thing. I will say that I don't believe that we have any agricultural in our California American Water Service District. I'm not aware of any. So I think that that's one piece that, as our service district here in Southern California, we don't, is not in our wheelhouse, shall we say. With regards to potable water to lawns, there is one portion of the governor's provision that he put into place, or that he proposed on April 1st, that will prohibit potable water, the irrigation of ornamental grass with potable water, and that was specifically targeted with some communities that have big parkways or center medians that are 100% grass. Should the board implement that in May at their board meeting, it would no longer be permissible to water those medians that have grass. And there's been a lot of questions about, well, what does ornamental lawn actually mean? Felicia Marcus, I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she is the chair of the State Water Resource Control Board. She was quoted in the Sacramento Bee earlier this week, and I thought it was very appropriate, and it really lays out the definition of ornamental lawn, and I think this is a good way for residents and for the city to take a look at this, or to view this. If your lawn, the only time that somebody walks on your lawn is to mow it, you should consider taking it out. Which is, I don't know, I have a very small lawn at my house. I live in Los Angeles County, and I never walk on it, and it will be coming out very shortly. So good points. I appreciate that, and I'll get back to you on those other points that we had talked about, Councilman.
Great, thank you, Mr. Bruno. Thank you. And we have a big triangle park in the middle of our city near 7th that no one ever walks on, so that might be a good place to start. Moving grass, and then also just the idea of working with apartment building owners to see if we can get those low flow toilets, etc. Working with apartment owner associations to do that might be a good leverage point. And then finally, I did talk to Dan Malcolm, our port commissioner, and the board of port chair, and the port is doing a water audit. I'm very concerned about the showers. I use those showers when I come out of the water from surfing every day, and you press the button and they go on for a while. So, and plus we spend a lot of water cleaning up after pigeons. We have to figure that one out. Anyway, pigeons definitely aren't deserving of so much potable water. Anyway, and now we'll move on. Thank you very much, California American Water and the council members, for good questions and commentary. I know we're very committed as a city to water conservation and working with our residents to do that. So, excellent. Now for reports 5.1 to 5.3. On item number 5.1, I am recusing myself. Thank you. No, thank you. It's my fault. Yep. Consent calendar 2.1 to 2.7. I would like to entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items numbers 2.1 through 2.7. For a motion. Great. Please vote by electronic device. Voting.
Motion carried unanimously.
Great. Thank you. And now I'm back to where I was. Okay. Reports 5.1 to 5.3. And item number 5.1, I'm recusing myself due to potential conflict of interest due to my place of my employment. I'm also recusing myself on item number 5.2. Mr. Plopper, I think you just sounds like I call you.
Okay.
Yeah.
What item of business? Okay.
And due to my place of my employment, I'm also recusing myself on item number 5.2 due to a potential conflict of interest due to my wife's place of employment with the San Diego Foundation. So with that, I will recuse myself. Thank you.
Council members, in the absence of the mayor and a mayor pro tempore, the council members who are present will select a temporary presiding officer who will serve until the mayor returns. Is there a nomination for a temporary presiding officer?
I'll motion Councilmember Bragg. She said she would do it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we please take a roll vote? All those in favor, please say aye. No one's opposed, so motion carried by the following vote. Ayes, Patton, Bragg, Spriggs, Bedina disqualified, Bilbray absent. Madam Chair.
Thank you, colleagues. We will continue on now with our meeting. We have before us item 5.1, which is the consideration of authorizing the Ocean Protection Council to process a consolidated coastal development permit with the California Coastal Commission for a statewide signage project that will install interpretive and regulatory signs at the end of South Seacoast Drive, the Tijuana River mouth, and at Monument Mesa Friendship Park. Mr. Hall or Mr. Foltz, is this your item? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the council. As discussed, this is staff is recommending that the City Council adopt Resolution 2015-7571, which authorized the Ocean Protection Council to process a consolidated coastal permit for signage project. The Ocean Protection Council's processing the project that would be 201 interpretive and regulatory signs throughout the entire state of California for marine protected areas. And because Imperial Beach has such areas, 3 signs are going to be proposed within our city. One at the end of Seacoast Drive, one within near the river mouth area, and then one in Friendship Park at the far south portion of the city. And I'll show you those locations in a second. The locations of the signs are general though, because during this processing, they have to find out which are the least impacted areas that they could put the signs in. Do they meet accessibility requirements? There's a lot of things that are going to be looked at during this coastal permit. So these are just general locations. The rationale for approving this project is that it would allow for a more streamlined permitting process for this project, and also it would benefit the city because we would receive educational and interpretive signs. So these are the 3 locations, one at the end of South Seacoast, one at Mesa Friendship Park, and then there'd be a regulatory sign somewhere on a trail, somewhere in the middle, and that's somewhere that hasn't been determined yet. And those are the 3 areas. The reason they're requesting the consolidated coastal permit is because those 201 signs all need coastal permits, and they'd have to get a coastal permit from each and every jurisdiction in order to implement the project. So that's why the Ocean Protection Council is requesting that the city allow for a consolidated coastal permit, allowing the Coastal Commission to act on all the coastal permits. And this has been requested of every city that has a sign within their jurisdiction. That being said, following the coastal permit, assuming it gets approved, the applicant would then have to get any other permits from the city, such as an encroachment permit, if they were going to put something near Seacoast Drive. So they'd still have to go through the city for particular reasons if necessary, but this would handle the coastal permit part. These are just some images of what, some ideas of what the signs would look like. They're only about a 1.5 to 2.5 feet wide, some about 3 feet wide. And they're describing, this is a "you are here" type of sign that would be along a trailhead. But this would be an interpretive sign that describes the marine protected area that's in Imperial Beach. The council has other options, even though staff's recommending to approve authorization through the resolution. You can deny the consolidated coastal permit so that the city would pursue its own coastal permit for the project, or to continue this item to a further date to gather more information. But following staff's presentation, Zachary Plopper of Wild Coast is here to represent the Ocean Protection Council for this project, and he has some slides that he'd like to go through. And with that, staff ends its presentation if you'd like to hear more.
Mr. Foltz, does that conclude your presentation?
That concludes my presentation.
Okay. Colleagues, do you have any questions for Mr. Foltz? Would you like to hear the next presentation of Mr. Patton?
Yeah, some slides.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm just gonna take 90 seconds or 2 minutes of your time, but thanks for the opportunity. So just to provide some context, the map that you see are San Diego's 11 marine
Sir,
protected
I hate
areas.
to interrupt you, but your name and address.
Zachary Plopper, and I'm representing Wild Coast Ocean Protection Council and speaking on behalf of the San Diego County MPA Community Collaborative. That's a collaborative of 40-some agencies, user groups, and members of the public that are working on all the moving pieces of marine protected area implementation in San Diego County. So the map that you see here is San Diego's 11 marine protected areas. This includes the Tijuana River Mouth State Marine Conservation Area, which is what we have from Seacoast Drive down the U.S.-Mexico border. And that's about 1,930 acres of offshore protected area. Next slide. That's an aerial view of the marine protected area we're all very familiar with. And next slide. So this is a draft of the signage that we've been working on with state parks, with Department of Fish and Wildlife, with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Marine Sanctuary Foundation, who has received a grant for the production of all these signs. Like Tyler mentioned, this is a statewide signage project with over 200 signs across the state, and they're all going to stick to this template for consistency. They demonstrate the beauty of the area as well as regulations that pertain to the specific marine protected area. Like I mentioned, this is a draft, so there's some language errors in that, but all the photos and general content ideas will remain the same. And then next slide. And then this is kind of the area that we're thinking for the sign at the end of Seacoast Drive. There is already one of these "You Are Here" signs that was installed in 2012, I believe. That's that smaller blue sign you see on the left side of the screen. That's going to be replaced by the image that you saw earlier of that updated "You Are Here" sign. And then somewhere in this area, we're thinking it would be an appropriate location for that interpretive panel that we're seeking approval for today. And then there's my contact information if anybody has any additional questions to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plopper. Are there any questions? Okay. Mr. Patton, go ahead.
Not quite sure. Probably to you, but you can stay there just in case. So these signs obviously aren't cheap. You know, we put up signs before, but they're not cheap. I'm curious about maintenance, repair, and replacement. You know, big surf, especially the one on the mound. I'm not sure. I haven't seen surf quite roll over there to damage anything there, but who's responsible for that from 5 years to 10 years from now, or is that just going to roll over?
We haven't discussed that part at all. That's likely something we'll get into during encroachment permit process.
Something to think about, obviously. I'm sure you've already thought about it. And will we have any final approval? Like, I like that your last photo, especially the aerial shot. Will we have a final approval, or at least get to look at the text? The photos you said are pretty much set, but some of the text, or is it you're going to show it to us?
If requested, yeah, we could bring it to the council for review.
you were up here 90 seconds, so, I mean, I think it'd be good
Yeah,
to complete the full circle.
Yeah.
To see this.
yeah, we can provide that text. And speaking to, in terms of maintenance, there is some funding for maintenance. There's been one sign installed in Mendocino County 8 years ago of the same material, same template that has been fine, undamaged. But yeah, speaking to that, there is some funding for maintenance. But they are very durable.
I would imagine they've gone over this many times. Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Go ahead, Mr. Spriggs.
Thanks both of you for the presentation. Could you go back to the larger sign? Yes. What I like about this is that it's really educational, and I like the idea that Mr. Patton presented about us having another look at these signs. The reason is that we are really trying to, and we're still evolving our approach, see ourselves more and more as an ecotourism destination in Imperial Beach. So anything that goes up that is educational about this particular environment and informs people visiting for the first time about what the resources are here, etc., in maybe a little bit more depth than just a warning sign or that sort of thing, is to me a valuable addition to what the city is, where the city is going in terms of being an ecotourism destination. So I think in that regard, it's this kind of signage is very valuable for both our purposes and the general conservation purposes that your coalition is supporting. So I really encourage you to keep that in mind. Every location may have different ideas of why it wants to partner or what it's going to use these signs for, and ours is, I think, particularly around that application idea. Maybe other communities have other or don't have any such interest. Secondly, I think the location that you indicated for this sign in particular is a great location. It replaces something that's already there in terms of impacts and all that. And I walk this area a lot myself, and that's the point at which people decide they're going to either walk on the ridge or walk down along the beach. And so in either case, they're going to see the sign. So I think that's an excellent choice of locations. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Spriggs. Mr. Foltz, I have a question for you in the selection process of where these signs were going to be placed. Just my opinion, why was Pier Plaza not considered? I realize it's a ways away from the area, but that seems to be a place where we have the most visitors. So it's using something that we would educate people about. Why was that area? Or did you consider it and you purposely chose everything further south?
These are all specifically chosen by the Ocean Protection Council, so I don't know if that's something.
Yeah, just in terms of the distance from the marine protected area would be the reason we're looking for either areas on the boundaries or within the marine protected area. It was a little bit beyond the scope of the grant. I'm not sure if that can be addressed, but I can follow up with those of the Marine Sanctuary Foundation and OPC and see if that's something that interests them. But the focus was areas within the marine protected areas.
Okay, I would appreciate that, Mr. Pfeffer, because if our goal is to educate the greatest number of people that we can, placing the signs in the most remote locations of our community may not serve us that well. So if, like Borderfield State Park is, if you did a comparison of numbers of visitors, I think the case could be had to place maybe one of these signs at Pier Plaza, if it's at all possible.
Okay.
That would be great. Thank you. Mr. Patton, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, Mr. Levine, I know you're comfortable over there. I'm pretty sure we have a sign at Elm Avenue. Is that true? At Elm Avenue, I think there is a type of sign. The street. And I'm not sure, do we have a sign at Pier Plaza already? Any sign that tells about the ocean and what's going on?
There is no sign at the plaza. The one at Elm Avenue is put there by the port, maintained by the port, and it is showing the features of the coastline as you're looking seaward or westward from that point. So it shows Point Loma in south and all the
Right,
features within that.
I'm sure they had the rationale why they didn't want to put it at Pier Plaza, maybe too busy, or why they put it at Elm, I don't know, but you make a good point as well. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Plummer, thank you for your part of the presentation. I would like to now, under the recommendation for my colleagues, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2015-7571, authorizing the Ocean Protection Council, or the OPC, to process a consolidated coastal development permit with the California Coastal Commission for interpretive and regulatory signs to be placed at the end of South Seacoast Drive, the Tijuana River mouth, and at, well, now wait a minute, because we just talked about maybe placing one at Pier Plaza, so do we need to?
You can change the language to place interpretive and regulatory signs within Imperial Beach.
Okay, colleagues, would you be okay with that? Okay, so having said that, I'm not going to read all of that again, but for interpretive and regulatory signs to be placed within the confines of the city of Imperial Beach, which would allow the California Coastal Commission to serve as the permitting agency for the coastal development permit required to implement the proposed project in the city of Imperial Beach. I just want to add on that I really see the wisdom in this consolidated permit. So I would like to entertain a motion. Okay, thank you. Oral vote, please, colleagues. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Motion carried by the following votes. Ayes, Patton, Spriggs, Bragg. Disqualified, Dedina, absent, Bilbray.
Again, Mr. Plopper, Mr. Folds, thank you for your presentation. Colleagues, we're now going to move on to item 5.2, which is a consideration of resolution number 2015-7570, authorizing the filing of a building regional resilience grant, parentheses MF 1025. City Planner, Mr. Nakagawa will give a presentation on this item. Madam Clerk, do you have any speaker slips on this? Madam Clerk, do we have any speaker slips that we will consider hearing later?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Nakagawa, if you would, please.
Thank you, members of the City Council. Staff is recommending that you consider the report that we have presented to you, entertain any testimony if there were to be any. We're requesting the council to authorize the submission of a building regional resilience grant proposal to the San Diego Foundation. And this is related to an environmental future condition commonly referred to as climate change and sea level rise. One of the options before you is to authorize the submittal of this grant proposal. Second option, of course, is to not authorize it. Third option is to authorize the submission, but with some modifications that you might deem to be appropriate. Sea level rise and climate change studies have been done in this area or are ongoing. The San Diego Bay study was done by ICLEI about 3 years ago. What is ongoing right now, and you've heard Danny Boudreau give this City Council presentation on the CURVE study, which is a climate change and sea level rise study that is going to occur out in the Tijuana River Valley. San Diego Unified Port District is also engaged in climate change studies. They completed the mitigation component of their climate action plan. They did get started on the adaptation component, but I understand that they have run out of funds to complete that study, and they're seeking grant funds as well to complete their sea level rise study. SPAWAR with the U.S. Navy is also engaged in sea level rise studies, both at Naval Base Coronado and over at Camp Pendleton. The Department of Defense is also contracting for a climate change study for Navy Region Southwest. And the Navy, of course, has concerns about what future sea level rise and climate change conditions might do in the way of obstructing or hampering their mission capabilities. Last year, the City of Imperial Beach was awarded a $300,000 Climate Ready grant by the State Coastal Conservancy to examine sea level rise impacts to Imperial Beach. Just last month, the steering committee identified some data and knowledge gaps that it would be great to try to close. The San Diego Foundation and the Regional Climate Collaborative is right now offering a $200,000 grant with a range from about $20,000 to $100,000 to study regional resiliency to climate change. The scope of work we're contemplating would complement the current sea level rise study and would offer this funding that would close the data and knowledge gaps with the following tasks. Number one, information workshops for not only city officials, but for the public at large. We probably did not have the opportunity to basically present to the public a lot of the information that's related to climate change and sea level rise. Perhaps they might have received some misinformation, but we kind of like to have them listen to the scientist who's been studying on this for quite a while. Task number two, there's a phenomenon that we experience whenever we have extreme storm events during high tide, and particularly during the El Nino season, and this is nuisance flooding. In our particular case, there's one instance I think I could recall, and Hank could probably describe the situation a little bit better, and that's in an area that we sometimes refer to as Lake Carnation, where during storms, the stormwater is intended or supposed to go out into this retention basin with the aid of these water pumps that is operated by the Navy. Sometimes the Navy can't quite get to the pumps quick enough, and so we experience this flooding concern. Those are the kind of situations where the modeling that we're pursuing right now doesn't quite cover under the existing grant, but we're hopeful that it would be covered by the grant that we're pursuing. Task number three, economics of climate change impacts. We want to get a handle on what kind of dollar values we're thinking about if we were to experience these extreme sea level rise events. And so to tackle that, we'd like to use our research capabilities to examine the assessor's database, find out the values of properties out there. If they were to be damaged, what kind of dollar values are we talking about? And so I think those are the kind of things that the layperson, especially those who have property along the coast, would be interested in knowing about.
Mr. Nakagawa, could I interrupt you right there on that point? Would you be considering residential as well as commercial properties at that point?
All of the building stock, residential and commercial.
Okay, thank you.
In addition, somewhat related to that, if we were to come up with some adaptation strategies to try to protect those properties, what would those costs be? Let's say if we were to use sand again to try to protect ourselves, what's the dollar amount that we're talking about if we were to do that? Also, we would like to update a lot of our database related to coastal armoring. We had engaged Dave Cannon back in 2001, who's with Everest International, and he conducted a shoreline protection inventory. But the feeling when we put together our RFP for the Climate Ready grant, it was our anticipation that Dr. Patrick Barnard of USGS would be able to utilize our existing shoreline protection database and then factor that into his sea level rise model. The thinking is, if we could obtain a grant to update that database to the year 2015, that would enhance that modeling capability much more accurately. So that's one of the important things that we're wanting to pursue. Total grant requested in this case is $70,000. The collaborating entities includes the city, the Turner or the Tijuana River National Estuarine Research Reserve, Revel Coastal, which is the consultant that was authorized by the city council to do the study, and in partnership with Dave Revel is the USC Sea Grant Program that's being handled by, I forget her last name, but her first name is Julia Feinshart, I think is her last name. The resilience grant to cover the work is not covered by the existing grant. And so there's some, we're hopeful that with this additional money, we can kind of cover the additional modeling that we would be hopeful in being able to do. Also, of course, is the updating of the coastal armoring inventory. And our consultant advises us that the Coast Commission would like to maintain this database so that they have their permit records basically up to date. They're operating under very antiquated systems as well. So we're looking forward to that. Our recommendation is to receive the report, entertain any testimony, and adopt the resolution that would authorize the submission of this Building Regional Resilience Grant proposal to the San Diego Foundation. And I'm ready to respond to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Nakagawa. Colleagues, any questions or comments? Mr. Patton, please go ahead.
Yeah, some good stuff there. When would you get back with us with the progress that you've made from this grant?
Of course, the grant deadline is April the 20th, so we were in a bit of a rush. I'm going to say we could give them maybe a month to find out if we got awarded the grant. And now the grant agencies sometimes are not overly generous about giving you 100% of what it is you asked for. I don't know who our competitors are. I was at a climate collaborative meeting just earlier today, and I tried to do a little bit of scooping around to see who might be bidding against us. They wouldn't fess up. So now, on occasion, we would get surprises. The Climate Ready grant that was offered by the Coastal Conservancy, I had asked for $150,000, and they called me back and said, would we have any objections to getting $300,000 instead? I said, we have no objections over on our side, and so they gave us $300,000. And so I'm just standing ready for any surprises.
Okay, well, keep us posted. If you do get $300,000, let us know, sure.
Mr. Spriggs.
Thank you, Mr. Nakagawa. In full disclosure, I was a member of the steering committee that met for about 3 hours to go over the gaps in the existing grant, and I can safely say that the items that they've come up with, I think, are really important for us as a council to get information on and to be able to make some what will be very critical judgments about what Imperial Beach, surrounded on 3 sides by essentially sea level bodies of water, is gonna need to do to adapt to sea level rise. And so my question to you, Mr. Nakagawa, is, following up on my colleagues, if we don't get, it's the other way around, if we don't get $70,000, it seems to me that the information you presented that's needed to fill the gaps in the other grant is vital information for this council and this community. Would you be coming back to the city council if we only get a portion of it or none of it? Potentially with a request to come up with some alternative funding to get this work done at the same time that the other grant is happening, which is the whole idea.
And yes, Councilmember Spriggs, that's exactly what we're anticipating. Of course, we're crossing our fingers with this particular grant. But we're recognizing that over the recent years, we note that more and more of these agencies are offering these grants related to climate change. And if for some reason we don't make it with this particular grant, then seemingly the Coastal Commission, the Ocean Protection Council, the Coastal Conservancy, even the nonprofits such as the San Diego Foundation and some of the others, from time to time, you'll see these announcements about these grant opportunities, and we're just hopeful that we could just snag as many of those as we can.
Thank you.
Mr. Nakagawa, I would like to thank you for your very subtle detective work earlier today. Thank you for that. And again, Mr. Spriggs, thank you for your acumen on always dealing with this and steering some of these questions and answers. What I wanted to know was, if we were to be successful in getting this grant, it would be my hope that we would share this information, and is that the hope of the foundation as well, that we would share information garnered. Of course, it's not a cookie cutter, it's not going to fit every community, but hopefully that we would share this information with other coastal communities.
And that's exactly the case. When this Coastal Conservancy grant was offered to us, of course, one of the couple of strings attached to that. Number one, we were obligated to give a sizable portion of that grant towards the development of the sea level rise or Cosmos model. And then two, whatever results we arrive at through all of this work, we're obligated to share that with all the other coastal communities, not only in San Diego County, but in Southern California. So we are anxious to complete this study and exchange information with other entities as well.
Okay, great, thank you. One other point that I wanted to reiterate, Mr. Nakagawa, was that you had said early on in your opening comments was the admission that we hadn't quite gotten this information out to the public the way we probably would have desired to do so. So I'm hoping that that's one of the things that will be happening upon complete, if we get the grant and upon completion, because I know as a homeowner or a property owner in these areas, it's vital to them. All right. Thank you. Colleagues, and I would entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2015-7570 that authorizes staff to submit a $70,000 Building Regional Resilience Grant proposal to the San Diego Foundation and the San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative to augment the current sea level rise, parentheses SLR, a study that is underway. Okay, and under an oral vote, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Motion carried by the following votes: ayes, Patton, Spriggs, Bragg, disqualified, Dedina, absent, Bilbrain.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I have my own.
We now we're on, thank you. Resolution, we're on 5.3, resolution number 2015-7566, affirming the fiscal year 2015-2016 sewer service charge rates for sanitary sewer service as approved and adopted by ordinance 2013-1138 on May 15, 2013. Public Works Director Levine will give a report on this item.
Mayor, council, my feet here. Staff recommends that you approve this resolution 2015-766, affirming the 1.6% sewer rate increase that was approved by this council 2 years ago in a 5-year study, revenue study done by Atkins Engineering. You have a choice of not recommending it, which would leave you without raising the rates. If there's other information you need, we can probably come back one more time. The city does have to put out the notice 30 days ahead of time. The rates would go into effect on 1 July 2015. So there would be time for one more hearing on this if it was absolutely necessary. We'd rather not push it that far. The finances are shown on the staff report, and unless there's questions, I'll conclude my staff report with this.
Thank you, Public Works Director Levine. Did we clear this, or Councilmember Patton, are you requesting to speak? No. Let me clear this then. Are there any questions or comments from the council? Councilmember Spriggs?
I somehow always manage to get confused by the sewer revenue and capital projections. I'm looking at your table on the 3rd page of the report, which shows a way to project it so that it'd be easy for everybody to see.
I can project it. I have it here if you want to see it.
Okay.
Sure.
I always do, right? Predictable as the clock.
There's the table.
All right. So looking at what the report says, without this increase, we're not going to have enough, especially come FY 2017, for the necessary CIP expenditures at 439,791. That's, in order to cover that, we need this increase.
This table takes into account an estimate of 1.6% rate increase in each of the fiscal years 2016 and 2017.
Okay, so the bottom line revenue projections in the study reflects that increase.
This is based on where when we entered fiscal 15, we were at 1,300,000. Our balance was $1,369,809. And our revenue was, as you see there, $4,154,000. Our operating expenses are $3,921,000 with a net operating income, which you see there. Our CIP expenditures for this fiscal year are estimated at $1,166,000 and change, leaving us $436,000 at the end of fiscal 15.
Right.
That then transfers to fiscal 2016 incoming. And as you go down through that same set of steps, At the end of 16, we'll be at 285,000 balance. And in 2017, you can see what that also ends up with. And that does not provide us enough money to do the CIPs that are programmed for fiscal 16 and fiscal 17. Largely that's due to the loss of the Navy revenue when the NOLF was transferred out of the city's budget, our city revenue stream, because they discharged directly to San Diego, City San Diego now. So the summary of this is that the 1.6 is not sufficient to keep us at a level to be able to continue the CIPs and to build a operating capital reserve. Thus, it's my suggestion to you, you affirm the 1.6 at least to keep us from going further behind. I will be coming back to you beginning sometime in the near future, probably July, August, suggesting that we do another revenue study. There's a couple things happening. One is the Navy's no longer there, so we're going to have to put that back into the formula. But second, you heard tonight that people are asking for less and less water, or being told to use less and less water. The water meter is the source of our data to do the billing. So as the water use goes down, the revenue you're going to receive, because there's less water being used, the water being received is going down. And like all utilities, the operating expenses don't go down just because you're using less. We still have the pipes, the mains to maintain. We still have the repairs to make. We still have the treatment costs. We still have the manpower costs. And those typically don't rise and fall with a lot, in this case, the less use of water. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I really recommend you to do approve or affirm the 1.6% for now, recognizing that your revenue balance is going down over the next few years. If we don't continue, well, one, if we don't continue 1.6, but second, if we don't take another look at it and with a new reality of what the water use is going to be and what the Navy's done.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate you going back through the explanation, including the fact that it's going to get revenues are going to go down as water use goes down. I think that's very good for us to hear that, because we won't be surprised when you come back after doing the analysis with an increase in order to cover that projected decline in revenue. That 2015 column, which shows us ending with a fund balance of $436,079, is with the 1.6 increase or without it?
It is with it, sir.
With it. Okay. So then we will get a new proposal from you so that we don't see the drastic decline in the balance and the inability to maintain a reserve that's reflected in the 2016 and 2017 columns. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That's yes. My intent is to come back to you in a few months, suggesting that we do another revenue study and take a look at what is necessary in order to maintain a balance that's reasonable in order to do the capital projects that we need to get done.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chief.
I would also, if I could, Mayor, just the estimate that was provided to us, if you add back in what we lost to the Navy, 140, 160, into those bottom figures of ending balances, we would be pretty consistent with what which was estimated originally.
Okay, Councilman Breck.
Thank you. Mr. Levine, thank you for the report. I wonder if our consultant from Atkins was here?
She is not.
Okay. The last study we had done was in February 20th, 2013. But here we are 2 years later, and you're going to be a future date recommending that we have another study done.
I would like to phrase it as updating the earlier study, because most of the data is still there. I just have to update it with new realities.
Okay, so would we have to enlist the aid of Atkins again?
Yes,
Okay,
I would recommend it.
okay. It would make sense. I mean, that's their forte. That would make sense. What I'm wondering is if the projections, if we have this study done again, I don't want to every 2 years have to be going through this. But I certainly, if we do update this study, Mr. Levine, will new projects be considered, like the new hotel, the breakwater, the Navy campus, Bernardo Shores? Will those impacts be considered as well? They're future impacts, but we know they're coming.
To the extent that we know or have reasonable expectations that they will be coming, yes. There's certainly projects out there that we haven't thought of or haven't come to fruition yet. But yeah, yes, ma'am. The new hotel would be there, Bernardo Shores. The Sudbury project, breakwater. Other developments on Seacoast that are being talked about, those all have to be considered. Again, there'd be estimates. They're not immediate. The hotel is, I'm sure, a ways out yet, and so some of these others. I mean, we've been talking about them coming for the last several years, and it's like Pure South took 10 years or 15 years for it to be in reality.
I understand.
So we have to be careful about when we project out 5 years, what we think is going to be there and build revenue on it.
Right. We don't have a crystal ball, but these things are certainly on our horizon. And, sometimes I get the feeling that, when we're planning things, we talk about 2015, or 2050, that's not very far away. So I just want to make sure that we really do have our eyes on the future when we're looking at these things. And, Mr. Levine, one of the things that you mentioned, which is critical to this, is that the cost doesn't go down. The cost of the system doesn't go down. But I don't think the normal citizen, the average citizen, understands that. They say, well, doggone it, I'm conserving. What is going on here? So I think we need to do a better job, not just the city of Imperial Beach, but also statewide. You hear it wherever you go, I'm conserving. Why am I being penalized for this? Why is my rate going up? So I think there's confusion there. And I think it's incumbent that we really strive to clear up that confusion and to keep reiterating that the cost doesn't go down. You may be stating that the cost of the system is not going to go down. I think there's an illusion out there that we need to overcome.
There is one other element that you've heard me talk about in the past, is that we have a fair amount of infiltration in our system, which is costing us dollars, treatment costs. And hopefully during using the capital improvements we're making, we're cutting down on those infiltration places, and so our water actually being treated by Point Loma is dropping, getting less. It certainly hasn't been increasing, and we have been repairing several of the serious infiltration locations that we know of. I think I've told you that we've now televised 100% of our system in the last 5 years. So we have a pretty good handle on where those improvements need to be made in trying to reduce the infiltration locations and bring our water treatment costs down.
Mr. Levine, thank you for reminding all of us up here that that is critical. Those infiltration costs, and, you know, the long run costs are huge. So when we're planning our capital improvement projects, you know, let's keep an eye on those things because it's, you know, literally money down the drain. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, the recommendation is that we approve resolution, do a motion to approve resolution number 2015-7566, affirming the 1.6 average increase in sewer service charge fee as approved in ordinance 2013-1138, consistent with the study dated February 20, 2013, prepared by Atkins. We have a motion.
Yeah.
Please vote. Are we voting electronically? Yes.
Motion carried unanimously by those present, Bill Bray absent.
Thank you, everyone. With that, we adjourn the regular meeting.